The opinions made in this video do not necessarily coincide with that of Imaginary Goddess, or anyone else for that matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
This is Ben Wheeler, the Mercenary King, bringing you a new segment for Imaginary Goddess. I'm calling it State of Play. It's a way to look at the Vanguard and various sections that may not always be talked about, but at the same time sort of bring people up to date with the latest and greatest for various decks, clans, etc., etc. There'll be a three-part segment to this. First will be a sort of what's already there. What are things that people, sort of haven't used enough? And how can you best bring out their potential? There's a lot of cheap, fun decks out there that just aren't played. Mega Caldy. And there are also a lot of archetypes that aren't played, partly because everyone's so up on the Break Ride Ace, the Break Ride Ace, Ace, or the Legion plus support. Actually, wait, that's not in English yet. The Ace and the Break Ride Ace, that they sort of forget about things that could be done on the sides, or sort of cheap fun decks. I know in our local meta, like, people show up at the Friday tournament with a fucking Chaos Breaker deck, and it's like, oh, look at you, Chaos Breaker. That really shows your skill as a card fighter playing, a deck of that nature. They don't always win. That's the funny bit. All right, so let's talk about the first segment. Cards that great for budget decks. Interesting concepts, but just don't have the power that, Chaos Breaker has. Or Novell. Oh dear lord, the power on those guys. Okay, first off I want to bring a, sort of a, it's not archetype, what do I call this? Sort of a card style? I'll think of a name some episode. This guy is, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, if the Vanguard is 12k or greater, in other words, if it's cross-ridden or has a defensive trigger on it already, this unit gets plus 10k until end of battle. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you have a blank, in this case Kagero, Vanguard, this unit gets plus 2k until end of battle. In other words, it's a 12k attacker or a 20k attacker plus, boosters. Hopefully an 8k. So in other words, you put bar behind this bastard, he's sitting for 28 against a cross ride. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh. A lot of people don't run these cards, again, because, they just don't feel it's necessary. They don't feel the decks are really worth it, but they are. That's how I played my Grand Blue for a while. I played this guy, well, the Grand Blue version of this guy, which is a promo, and Casitas normal. And it was a pretty strong deck for a while. It was very similar to Kohila's deck, which I'm sure we will put up, Ash will put up a link for or something. That was very interesting, very fun for a while, but eventually upgraded to Casitas Reverse with Break Ride. Again, it's sort of what you want to style, because what I wanted was Power Breaker every turn. But, we don't always get what we want, do we? Now, the next group is what I like to call sort of rare abilities. This guy's a common, but we sort of just let him in the club anyway. The traits of these is, that's what I do it. I should say it like that. Traits. The traits of cards like these is usually ability, usually based on grade 3s, that do something unique to the clan. For example, Barbaros from set 13, when you drive check a grade 3, retire a grade 3, and return a Grand Blue from the drop zone into an open R permanently. And if you have 4 or more rearguard Grand Blue, this unit gets plus 3k during your turn on Vanguard. This unit is pretty great because what these things do is they turn grade 3s into drive checks, useful drive checks that do something. I would run Barbados in a deck with a Grand Blue this clone, or a deck focused on Malefic Dragon, which, if I recall correctly, was a 13k rearguard, but it killed things to come back out, like a grade 2 or greater, I think, was required to die before this thing could come back out. And, that's, 13k attackers back in the day were pretty good. And this deck could work pretty well since it was a 13k attacker on the rear guard like Palamides was. This guy came out in set 14, Treasure Liberator Kalogranat. When this +1 with this unit reveals a grade 3 Gold Paladin, look at the top card of the deck, search for a Gold Paladin in the deck, call out to open rear guard circle, put the rest at the bottom of the deck. When this unit attacks Vanguard +3k. It's pretty good. Obvious uses, Pelennor. Also, it turns every grade 3 into a free plus from the deck. And that's pretty good. That's pretty good. It's like a draw trigger for the deck, for the field, but then again, you're still stuck with the grade 3s. The art's nice. It's really old school. Really sort of fun, like a Magician and all that jazz. I kind of wish more things were put into this style. Let's see here. This is Keen Eye Sky Trooper. I've actually fought this deck once or twice. It's actually pretty fun to fight because you never know when something's going to happen, especially if they build their deck right. So there's a lot of attacks and shenanigans going on that you just, you can't really pay attention to. Let's see. I don't remember what his trigger lineup for this one is, but usually these things run crits, or in Barbo's case, I'd run stands for multiple attacks, because you retire something, bring it back, attack, so on and so forth. Later, we have a Dark Metal Dragon clone. Dark Metal Dragon was actually pretty impressive in Japan back in the day. It was when this unit drive check reveals a insert clan here. In other words, Gold Paladin, Royal Paladin, Genesis, Shadow Paladin. There are others too, I just didn't bother bringing them out. Give this unit plus 2k. In other words, with a 7k booster, this turned into a 21k at least. With triggers, every trigger became 7k, so this could hit 14k, so 31k if you get 2 triggers, which is fantastic. Good numbers. Certainly surprising. Nobody plays these things very much. They're excellent newbie decks. They're also just really great cards in general. The only problem is that there are cards that do flashier and more impressive things than consistent power gaining. This guy, Mythgard, will become useful when the Genesis Extra Booster comes out and we can get access to Mythgard Procyon, which is a pretty awesome deck. This guy is a pretty good addition to Royal Paladins in the sense that very few Royal Paladins really have consistent abilities like this, except for Planet Dragon and whatnot, and have the ability to and Sanctuary Guard Dragon, excuse me, and have the ability to, for themselves, not for their rear guards or anything like that, break 31k. Let's see here. Yeah, Alfred hits 20k only. Unless you do something cool to him, like give him power with a Margle or something like that. Soul Saber's rear guard. Glowing Grim only gets plus 2k. Yeah. Really been having problems with Royal Paladins because it's like I can't really get inspired by anything they have as aces right now. Except for maybe, what is his name? I don't like any of the Seekers. What is his name? Toulouse, but I'll talk about him in a bit. Now we get to the Power Breakers. These are some rares. They're actually really good for what they are. There's Knight of Entropy, kind of lets to lock a unit wherever it is. Also, all Power Breakers have Limit Break 4. This unit gets, when this unit attacks the Vanguard, this unit gets plus 5k. In other words, with a 6k booster, it's 21k guaranteed. I often put 8ks in decks around these, like Casitas, probably the most famous Power Breaker. To hit 23k. And that was part of the reason why I did well with against Crossrides with my Grand Blue deck. With him and these guys, all of a sudden you're always hitting at hitting for more than 10k block for Crossrides. Vorpal Cannon Dragon, there we go. Is actually, I'm going to be building a budget deck around him and Lawkeeper in a bit. And that'll be its own thing in the next episode, in a couple episodes or something. Counterblast 2 when this unit is placed on the Vanguard, and it's always when they're placed on Vanguard. Counterblast 2, retire an opponent's grade 2 or less rearguard. Casitas is Counterblast 2, summon something up from the drop zone. And they all follow the same vein. They do something like like these guys, these ability guys, grade 3 abilities. They all do something that is unique to their clan, and are a really great way of showing off the clan skills and, you know, introducing somebody to them. I actually built some of my friends' decks around Knight of Entropy. Who's the other guy? Oh, Innocent Blade Heartless, which is a great card, but is more in tune with these guys than anyone else, except he doesn't require a grade 3 drive check. Alright, let's talk about, next segment is a deck profile. Today I'll be doing my Spike Brothers deck. It's a pretty unique build. It's based around card advantage, at the same time providing massive amounts of power and on-hit pressure to the opponent. Probably to be fighting Vu in either this or my Bermuda. Anyway, line up. Heals, 8 crit. 4 heals, 8 crit, 4 draw. That's what you have for Vanguard, for Spike Brothers right now. And that's probably the only thing that's keeping them balanced. I think you can do... They only have 4 stands. But then again, there isn't really as much you can do with that you can do with stands as you can with crits. Partly because of how the break ride and the ace mechanics are. Starter is Mecha Trainer. Conroe for Spike Brothers. He's a rare because he's Spike Brothers. He's not as important as Conroe because he is Spike Brothers. He is as good as Conroe. Counterblast 1, retire this unit, search your deck for a grade 1 or less Spike Brothers, reveal it to your opponent, put it in your hand, shuffle deck. That's fantastic. That is great. It prevents you from being grade stuck for too many turns. It also allows you to summon up something that you need precisely when you need it. This deck does minus itself, and while it can summon or let you draw a lot, if you don't have the wisdom to summon out the right thing with him, it can make or break your game. Let's talk about grade 1s. Let's see here. 4 triggers, 2 of each. That's because I like it like that. 3 medical managers. When it's placed on the field, Soul Charge 1. 2 Reckless Expresses. Soul Blast 1 when this unit attacks until into battle. Pay the cost. This gets plus 5k, return it to the deck, and shuffle the deck afterwards. This is a great card because it's a grade 1 that hits for 12k as soon as you put it out. Provided, of course, you summoned out one of these beforehand. Why would you want to do that? Because early pressure hurts your opponent much more than late game pressure. Late game pressure is just winning. Oh my goodness. But a person can turn the game around. Like if a guy plays smart against Novel and puts out some early pressure so that Novel only really has 1 turn to do its job, and he prepares for that one hideous turn, all of a sudden the Novel player is looking at it saying, it's like, shit, that Dauntless Drive Check only gave me 1 card in my hand. And he perfect shielded the second Novel, you know, blah, 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 blah. Partly because of the cards like these in Spike Brothers that really step up the game. This guy is a 10k booster for Spike Brothers. When this unit boosts a Spike Brothers, any Spike Brothers, just so you know, the boosted unit gets plus 4k and into battle, until into battle, and at the end of battle, put this unit in the bottom of the deck. This is also a way to deck thin Spike Brothers. Make sure it goes to the bottom of the deck, instead of like on top and shuffle like this guy does. You put a bunch of them at the bottom, then all of a sudden, you've got a bunch of not triggers at the bottom of the deck, and a whole bunch of triggers should be rising to the top, because of how it works. 2 Wonder Boys. Wonder Boys! AK Booster. Not really as important as this deck as it was in Dudley Emperor, which is what my previous deck was. But at the same time, I got kind of bored with Dudley Emperor because it was a -2 from the hand. And I prefer Grateful Catapult. Why? Because Grateful Catapult's fun. And in a deck like this, with the amount of draw the grade 2s can give you, it really does help the game. You might say, well, Dudley Emperor, blah, 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 hits 21k. Sure. Yeah, 21k is a magic number, and that's fantastic. But at the same time, this deck isn't really focused around 21k so much as it is constant pressure for good things. For High Speed Bracky. High Speed Bracky is a good card and can be used in almost every deck. You can use them in Dark Irregulars deck, interestingly enough. Because of all the soul, you can just keep playing these guys out. Same with Juggernaut Maximum. Lord does kick that in the balls. But sadly, that sort of strategy is frowned down upon. And you can't really use multiple clans in tournament settings, which is sad because this is 14k. Play it early, smack face. But here's the thing: you gotta learn when to do it at the right time. If they're just waiting for counterblast to bring out Cruel Dragon or some shit, attack the rear guards. This gets plus 5k no matter what it attacks. And so 14k to a 9k rear guard like, say, Berserk Dragon, that's fantastic. What else do I have here? Ooh, Dudley Mason. This came out in set 10. And it's one of the more underrated cards of Spike Brothers. Counterblast 1 and put a Spike Brother from your hand into the soul. When this unit attack hits a Vanguard, if you have a Spike Brothers Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for up to 1 Spike Brothers, call it to open or shuffle the deck. It's break even. Basically what you do is you take say a draw trigger. Let's see. Put it into the soul, summon out a Bracky, summon out a Juggernaut Maximum, summon out a Skydiver. Holy crap, guys. Skydiver was one of the great forgotten cards of Vanguard. It's a triple rare back in set 2, and it's still a hideously powerful card for what it is. Especially when you got that break ride turn going, because here's the thing I'll talk about later. He's great, especially towards the end of the end game, when you're using his ability and the break ride in combination for a 19k swing to hit a Vanguard. If the person is guarded early, to survive this turn, they will usually take this guy, because they know something even more powerful is coming in on the wings. And that's when you bring out multiple attacks. When you bring out a Juggernaut Maximum or something like that for a 26k swing, because it's the break ride turn. Holy crap. Other cards that bring card advantage are Fierce Leader Zachary, Soul Blast 1. When this unit attacks hits the Vanguard, if you have a Spike Brothers Vanguard, if you pay the cost, draw a card, beginning of the close-up of battle, return this unit to the deck, shuffle the deck. In other words, you play this on your break ride phase, or you play this when you want to, bring out, empty out spaces for Grateful Catapult or Skydiver or whatever you want. They don't like letting this hit, but sometimes they just don't have a choice. So this is really a staple in all Spike Brothers decks, like High Speed Bracky. Let's see, I saw a really good deck by a friend of mine, Chance Sulin, and he runs Charging Bill Collector, which is plus 3k with limit break. So in other words, with the break ride, that's 21k. Nice. I actually put it in this slot, if you're thinking about that. Why? Because Field Driller is 7k, and not everyone has the balls and runs Field Driller. On the break ride turn, he's a 17k by himself. What you do is you put him like this, swing with one, swing with the other, they both go away. But as long as you have a full back row, this ability will always go off. What is that ability, you ask? When this unit attack hits a Vanguard, whether it's Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, just so you know, if the number of Spike Brothers you have is 4 or more, draw a card. In other words, he's a free plus. I use him in my Neonectar deck, and it works beautifully. Why? Because Neonectar's funny like that. No, but why is it working here? Because you're all about getting that field bigger. In other words, you run Dudley Mason. One of my favorite field setups is to put him in the Vanguard Circle, Dudley Mason in the side, or on the Vanguard Circle, as you want. It hits. Soul Charge, summon something out. All of a sudden I have 4 rear guards. Booster here. 15k to your 10k Vanguard. Ooh, shit. Free card advantage. Boom. You got the equivalent of a twin drive turn 2 and you aren't grade 3 yet. All of a sudden paying for the break ride, for wasting cards like Bracky and what is his name? I just forgot it. Reckless Express. Looks a lot better, doesn't it? all of a sudden you can actually take these minuses and repair your field, pretty much whenever you want. The weaknesses of Spike Brothers are covered by cards like these. Now, keep in mind, come set 16, this deck's going to change. But I'll talk about that when set 16 comes out, because there are some fantastic combos that will just be so lowsy. Like, what was it? Chance and I calculated that out, and I think it's like 210,000 power over 8 attacks or something like ridiculous like that. The ace of the deck is Grateful Catapult. Grateful Catapult is actually in the same vein of cards as these guys. But he's different in the sense that he's double rare, and so more important. His ability, Counterblast 2 and Persona Blast. Choose a card called Grateful Catapult from your hand. Oh wait, that's Persona Blast. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, search for your deck for up to 2 Spike Brothers and call them to our shuffle deck. Its only weakness, its only true weakness, is that it's a Persona Blast in a Spike Brothers deck. A Spike Brothers deck does a bit of soul charging. It also does, let's see, who soul charges in this deck? That's Soul Blast, okay. With Dudley Mason and, what was his name, Medical Manager. Also, there's still a good chance that you just won't draw it even if you don't soul charge. But at the same time, his ability is worth it. It's a -1 for a +2 to field. On a break ride turn, that is so good. Especially since you can literally summon anything you want from the deck. Anything here. Let's see here. One of my favorite things to do is, of course, to pair it up with the break ride, of which I only run 2. I run 2 of these guys. These are all techs. 2 Juggernaut Maximums, 2 Skydivers, 2 Bad End Dragons to break ride. The break ride is, as you should know, when the Spike Brothers rides this unit, plus 10k. Whenever your Spike Brothers rearguards attack, plus 10k to that unit till end of turn, and then put that unit at the bottom of the deck. If I use his ability, I'm not going to shuffle my deck afterwards. I'm just going to put him at the bottom. That's deck thinning. It's fantastic. So you break ride. 24k, 21k, 26k. Beautiful, beautiful. Skydiver, when he attacks, if he hits anything, when this attack hits anything, put this unit into the soul. Summon a Spike Brothers from the hand. In other words, break ride turn, boom, attack, 21k to rear guard. They're going to let that die because they don't want to spend at least 15k blocking it. At least. End of soul, 21k. That's how it works. Oftentimes I attack with him. End of soul, pull out Juggernaut Maximum. Juggernaut Maximum is the staple of Spike Brothers for generations. Your grandpappy was playing Juggernaut Maximum when you were but a gleam in your father's young eye. Sex joke. Alright. With Soul Blast 1, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, you may pay. When this unit attacks, anything, you may pay the cost. The Soul Blast 1. This unit gets plus 5k until end of battle. At the beginning of the close up of this battle, return this unit to your deck, shuffle deck. Between the 2 of these, you choose which one resolves first. I, of course, promote deck thinning always. So, hey. Let's see here. What else can I talk about? Let's talk about an ideal field attack setup. Yeah, you do have to talk about those in Spike Brothers decks because it is one of the most important things of Spike Brothers. Let's see here. Excuse me for the length. I'm nearly finished with this. All right, let's say this is your field. Yeah. You draw for turn and all that jazz. Break ride. Boom. You play. These 2 guys are out. You don't boost with them yet. 17k. 17k. They disappear. Doesn't matter whether or not you get card advantage. Point is that they provided pressure. That's 20k your opponent will not have to guard with later, and that's good. 29k to Vanguard, whatever the triggers are. Not this guy yet. Actually, yes, yeah, this guy. So not this guy. All of a sudden, 31k to Vanguard, or rear guard, or whatever the fucking most important thing to kill is. If your opponent is nearly dead and doesn't have any cards in hand, attack the opponent. He might try to get it and heal out of it, because this is going to hit for a bitch. This comes out because Skydiver hit. I'm doing this out of order. Let me redo that real quick. Boom, Soul Blast. This in here, putting it back into hand because I have 2 in hand. Hits into Soul. Finishes with 26k. This also disappeared sometime. That is how you play Spike Brothers. Super huge numbers. Let's see, what was that? It was 17k, so 34k, 29k, so that's 63k so far, before these attacks. 63. This attack is 89. This attack is with the booster. 89, 90, 120 into Soul. Another one. The 10k, let's say that actually this got the 10k boost. 120, 156,000 power over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attacks. Not in that order. There's a lot of creativity to be done with Spike Brothers, and I look forward to the Legions. Silver Blaze is shitty, but Frozen Ogre is just beautiful. Beautiful wee beastie. And it's going to be really fun. Now for the third and final segment. This is the shortest one. But it's also to show up what's going on, what you need to be aware of. As everyone knows, is that the late August, I think, to September and October, I think, maybe October, is the regional season for Vanguard. For the World Championships. I'll be going to Chicago with other peeps, and that's going to be pretty cool. I'm going to be playing Set 15 Mega Colony, which will be last me around 2 rounds. 2 rounds. No, I'm going to do better than that shit. But here's what the rewards are. Besides the mats, which are actually kind of cool, there are 3 Vanguard promos you can earn. You get a Night of Extravagance Toulouse just for showing up, and then you get these 2 for participating in the free fights afterwards and during. Toulouse is the main guy I'm happy with. I might add him to my Royal Paladins deck because I'm not happy with Sanctuary Guard Dragon being in there at this time. It's just not functioning as I want it to. His ability is Limit Break 4. If the number of rear guards you have is 4, Counter Blast 1 and Soul Blast 1. Search your deck for up to 1 Royal Paladin. Call it to open R. Shuffle the deck. This is a fantastic card. Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 1 for a plus. If you summon out Sword of Hope Richard, that's a +1 to hand, not just the field. Does have soul issues, but I think you can get over it. This isn't really good if you have less than 4. And of course it's useless if you have more than 4. But really what this is to fill out that one spot in the deck, in the field that you just need now. And you don't want to spend cards from hand. Whenever you don't spend a card from hand, that is a good card not spent. Counterblast 1, unlock a card. Unlocking is a bonus. He's already a great card. Fantastic, flashy as hell art. Now for the 2 other cards. Setting Sun Vader, Darm Stadium. This is designed for Glendios decks, as well as Cradle R decks, and the card that's coming out in Fire Collection, which deserves its own deck, with slight difference to Glendios. Limit Break 4. When a Link Joker rides this unit, discard a grade 3 or greater card from your hand. If you do, choose 3, any 3, not front or rear guards. So in other words, 1, 2, triangle lock. Lock 3 opponent's rear guards. Choose the Vanguard plus 10k to Vanguard. Fantastic. I'd run them in normal decks as well, but the problem is I can't guarantee that for like Nebula Lord or anything like that. And discarding a grade 3 from hand isn't really something most decks are designed around. Let's see, my Spike Brothers deck is designed around having grade 3s in hand, but even if, this was a mechanic connection, I wouldn't do it, because I need those grade 3s to attack. Also with Glindios, you need those grade 3s to keep shit locked. But on the other hand, there are cards that can get the grade 3s back into hand? Or is it field? I forget which. One of them, at least. So it saves room. Lastly, there's Revenger Deathmaster Dragon. He's good in the sense that he's not de-armored or raging form. Also, his ability is Limit Break 4. Kill one of your own Shadow Paladins. When this unit attacks Vanguard, gain 10k. It's good in the sense that it's simple. There's not much things you have to worry about, and you can focus pressure on the rear guards. I'd run a crit happy deck, very high, because the Armid has his own crit. You can sort of, fudge the numbers a little bit. But for him, 12 crit, pretty heavy, because what you do is you build up a field, and then when you kill one a turn, you have plenty of cards to just replace him when you need them. He doesn't use any counterblasts, which is fantastic. Alright then. This has been the first show of State of the Game. Or is it State of Play? Oh dear. I should write this down. Of State of Play. I really hope you guys enjoy this. And I'll have something unique for you in about, let's see, 2 weeks? Yes, when Bermuda comes out. I'll be going over the promos, as well as some of the Legion stuff that's going to come out in Japan pretty soon. It's going to be very interesting. This has been Ben Wheeler, the Mercenary King. Have a great evening.